So Prakash, we are very used to our clients asking us that question, which is the right option, self-hosted versus SaaS. Just imagine someone new in the BD team has joined Sudhir's team, and you got to train him about how we should answer that question, self-hosted versus SaaS.
See, what I think is that SaaS is the safe option for most of the businesses, right? You just can't go wrong with SaaS, right? So it helps you, it saves you from making upfront heavy investment into technology, and you can just get started with very easily without any capital investment. And second, your cost will remain proportionate to your revenue growth, because most of these e-commerce SaaS platforms actually offer some kind of a revenue share model where they take 1% or 2% of your revenue, and they take care of your the complete hosting and servers upkeep and maintenance, right?
But some of our brands, just from our past experience, are very fixated about owning the piece of software. Is that a myth in today's day and age?
So, okay, I don't know, what, what actually means owning the software, because see, all the popular products that are available in the market today, these are actually open source products, right? So
Right.
the copyright owner is always the OEM vendor, right? So we have got only a license. As a business, we only get a license of it, right? To use it. So basically, we do not own it per se. The second point is, the moment we go for the self-hosted option, okay, we need to remain invested in the upkeep and maintenance of that piece of software, because actually every software breaks.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So in last 1 year, we have heard about all the major technology products going downtime, either partially or full downtime at some point of time, and that includes Google, Cloudflare, Fastly, AWS. We have heard about almost all of them.
Sure.
So in principle, there is nothing like 100% uptime.
Sure.
So the moment a business goes for that self-hosted solution, actually they need to be prepared to invest into its ongoing upkeep and maintenance, which most of the businesses find very difficult, because they in their core they are not a tech company.
Fair enough. So that is something we may be able to put a brand or a business at ease in terms of the options. But let's say there's always this thought of a barrier to exit. Let's say in the SaaS option, how do we make a brand or a business feel comfortable that his assets are with him anyhow?
I think, see, assets or whatever you legally own, the data points that are generated in your business, you are actually the owner of it,
Right.
legally and even contractually, right?
Sure. So order data, customer data,
products, catalog, product
design.
imagery, design, right?
So now I think even the SEO links, etc., can all be well migrated.
Yes.
So really, there is no nothing that someone's leaving behind on the table,
right?
So to speak.
Right. So basically, you own your data, and the moment you want to migrate it to other platform, you can take all your data points and just host it at the new platform. Right.
Fair enough. So I think that should take care of all the new BD team's questions regarding self-hosted versus SaaS. So in terms of advice to brands, Prakash, what are the options that we feel, or brands come to us and ask are good options for scaling one's e-commerce?
Right. So again, the solutions that are available out there, primarily they fall under two brackets. One is your self-hosted solutions, which come primarily via the open source applications like of Magento, WooCommerce, OpenCart, etc. The other bracket is of the SaaS products like of KartMax and Shopify, right? So primarily these two buckets, and which option you go for. So basically, as a rule of thumb, mostly the SaaS option works flat out for most of the businesses.
Sure.
So you can't go wrong with it. But if you have really some compelling reasons to go with a self-hosted solution, if you are okay with remaining invested into its upkeep and maintenance, then yes, you can go ahead with self-hosted solution as well. But here we have one major reservation about the self-hosted solutions, because most of these self-hosted solutions were developed like a decade or more ago, right?
Sure.
For example, for Magento, it has been like 13 years. For WooCommerce, it is, I think, close to like 11 or 12 years, right? So these are decade-old technologies, and not necessarily they are suited for the scale of e-commerce that we experience today, right?
Sure.
So those pieces of software are still monolithic, built on monolithic architecture, and they are retaining that legacy, right?
So in terms of new age architecture, what else is available out there, and how is it better?
So headless architecture is the modern age architecture. But again, a headless architecture, not necessarily it was like invented or arrived at like in last few years. I think I was doing some research, doing some study, and found that actually Amazon started with it back in like 2001 or something, right? So it also has been there for close to a decade now, the headless architecture. So in headless architecture, so actually Amazon has described it very well, where they said that their earlier piece of software, their platform was on some monolithic piece of software where a single system was taking care of everything, and they were facing these scaling issues. So they decoupled the different modules within their business, and they give each of the module a single responsibility.
Right.
And each of these modules actually talk to each other via microservices or APIs. And it worked really well for their scalability. So Amazon is a very good case study for this headless architecture.
So from a KPI perspective, which does it really hit or target? Let's say a headless architecture versus a monolithic. What's the real impact to business in a layman's term?
See,
is it speed? Is it performance? Is it ease of operation? So what's the bang for the buck?
I would say primarily it is performance.
Got it.
Right. And the manageability. Since headless architecture is less complex, anytime a problem arises, okay, you are able to very easily pinpoint that to which module could be that culprit. And you can isolate the problem and you can address it, right? And just one application cannot pull the entire suite of or your entire platform down.
Sure.
So headless definitely wins on that performance, scalability, and the issue identification and resolution.
Sure.
Part. Sure. Right.
So let me take you down a little down memory lane, something which is very close to your heart. How did the idea of KartMax come about?
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean we very feel nostalgic about it, right?
Yeah.
So it was like back in 2018.
Right. So what particular problems did arise from? What problem did it target to solve? What was that one moment where you felt that this is a real use case that you then further moved on to productize?
Right. So yeah. So you were part of that journey. We were in it together. So in 2018, we had onboarded one of the largest fashion brands in India, and they had close to like 550 plus offline stores across India. And they were on some popular CMS at that point of time.
Yeah.
To be very specific, it was Magento.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And for some reason, the technology or that platform was not able to support their ambitious marketing campaigns.
Sure.
Right. So it was just not growing, or it was just not as performant as the marketing team would expect.
Right.
And its impact was one. The consumers were getting a horrible time, a difficult time while transacting at the website. The website was very painfully slow. And the second, obviously, the business was losing revenue and as well as its brand loyalty. So and when they came to us at that point, they had given us the mandate to make the platform more stable.
Sure.
Okay. But when we dived deeper into the system, then we found that the system was really a bit complex, where every piece of custom code or plugin or a theme had access to every part of the site.
Correct.
And any code could be the spoil sport there,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So it was like you try to fix one thing, but since that one thing actually impacts the other modules too, so we were on a constant loop of chasing down the problems and all.
Right.
So we then decoupled that complex architecture into smaller logical modules of applications, and we hosted these applications independent of each other, and the developers had a very clear idea of which module has got what responsibility. So it really helped us scaling each of these modules.
Sure.
So we first started with their catalog piece. The website was painfully slow at their catalog pages, at their
Because it was a huge catalog.
Yes, they had a very huge catalog. So first we isolated the PIM module, product information management as we call it. The next was our cart and checkout.
Sure.
Then we implemented our caching, and then the entire system was decoupled from Magento.
Yeah.
And this result actually encouraged us, and then we went in and we gave it name KartMax, and this is how the KartMax was born.
And I think in this particular use case, while we solved the problem of stability and scalability, I think the real moment of truth or the awakening for us is something that will work was the overnight 40% increase in conversion for the same bang for the buck.
And that was really interesting. So actually, you remember we got an email from the client and they said that there seems to be something wrong with the website, right? All of a sudden, we are seeing high sales numbers, so there could be some attribution problem.
Right.
And we were also a bit taken aback that, okay, possibly there could be a problem. So, but when we dived deeper, then we found that, yes, the numbers are actual. Sure. Then we explained it to the client, and they also were very pleasantly surprised that, yes, just this architecture change to this new one actually resulted into that nearly 40% sales overnight. So basically, actually, in other words, the marketing team was losing that much of money. That was the loss of opportunity for their marketing and sales.
I think that was, our shot in the arm to say we are onto something.
Yeah.
And then the next 2-3 years, we've been onboarding clients with quite a lot of success and replicating that same marketing and conversion performance and stability and scalability. So great. It's been a good journey there. I had another question though on that, which is, KartMax is now at a time where it's got christened, it's got a lot more revenue flowing through it. Brands are able to scale to thousands of orders a day, which is significant, and all kinds of catalogs, whether it's international brands, whether it is domestic regional players, whether it is even something as micro payments, all have been able to deliver fairly strongly on it. But what are the technology innovations which will differentiate the product in times to come? Clearly, it's cutting edge in terms of its performance as on date. Marketers love it. The operations team likes it. But what should people look out for on KartMax? What's the team really working on under the hood, really?
Right. So the journey of KartMax has been that since KartMax is from the family of GreenHonchos, which is a major leading D2C enabler for nearly a decade now in India. So the KartMax team actually got an opportunity to work very closely with the marketing team, right? And since GreenHonchos is primarily into performance marketing, right? So actually, the developers here were sitting very closely to the marketing team, and they were getting an experience very firsthand of whatever changes we do at the website, what impact it does on the conversion or on the marketing side, right? So seeing these problems, observing these problems so closely, actually was a huge advantage to the developers out here. And we kept solving the different problems of scale that these brands experienced on their journey to higher growth. So quite a few interesting problems that we have solved in these years. Like I will speak about only a few noteworthy such points. So for example, we noticed that especially with the smaller brands who are just starting up in this D2C space, that the way they analyze the data, since they do not have any prior experience of scaling, scaling their D2C business to a very large scale. So the way they seek the different data points, many times they don't even know what data points are relevant and why they are meaningful, right? So the data points that they seek, the way they analyze it, could be better if they
Sure.
would have a better experience, or if they would have hired a management team with with good data analytics skill. So we solved that one problem, and we introduced Max AI, which is the one of its kind, very first AI solution in e-commerce management, right? So consider Max AI as your virtual e-commerce manager, which is able to pull 200 plus data points, and it is able to analyze many number of a large number of different issues that happen in e-commerce business, and it can also take action. For example, you can ask Max why the sales was done yesterday, and while there could be like 10 different paths on which you will analyze like why the sales was done yesterday,
Right.
but
Right.
Max is able to understand, figure out like what are those different paths. It takes all of
Sure,
it,
sure.
does all this data digging, and gives you a very coherent picture within seconds.
Sure, sure.
And good thing is it is available to you 24/7, so that's great. So Max AI is one.
I think within that too, what as a business person, what I found interesting, apart from the information, is its ability to really take actions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really was very interesting for a business.
Right, right. So I think we can play out a quick demo of what
Sure.
Max AI does.
Sure.
So the conversation is very interesting.
Okay.
Right.
Hi Prakash.
Hi Max.
Hi Prakash. How do you do?
I'm doing good. How is the sales going?
Looks good so far. You have received 6,820 orders with total revenue of 6.1 crore in the last 7 days. However, the RTO has increased to 25% for this period, against our average monthly RTO of 18%.
Can you figure out a reason for this high RTO?
Okay, I found these. 62% of RTOs have come from Maharashtra in the past 7 days. I also see the PIN code serviceability list was not updated in this period. There has also been some delayed dispatches reported that you may want to check back with the warehouse on.
Okay.
Would you like to ask Vishal, the operations head, to check it with the logistics partners?
Yes.
Okay, I have sent an email to Vishal and I have copied you on the email too.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a nice day.
So KartMax is, being used extensively across multi-city, clients, by operations teams. There are catalogers, there are merchandisers. The feedback I've always heard from business owners is it's really easy. We've had them using from IBM WebSphere to Demandware to Magento to quite a few of the systems, but what do you feel has been that differentiator where brands keep coming back and telling us, the operations management is much more seamless and lesser intensive?
Yeah. So see, efficiency is the key. So we have worked really hard to bring some innovative solutions on efficiency. So we today claim that with at KartMax you can run your entire operations with much fewer resources with a smaller team size, right? And it is very easy to use, and a lot of emphasis has gone into automation. So all the key operations tasks that we could find out, we have automated them to some extent wherever possible. For example, see, a typical use case in e-commerce could be a typical scenario could be like, let's say this is New Year, okay, and we want to run a sale at 30 at midnight 31st, midnight of 31st, okay. Now, usually on all these popular CMSs, your team had to be available at that moment, and yes, the team would hate to be available at that moment. They want to party in the midnight, right? So, but the point is, it can be automated, and this is what we have done in KartMax. So, think about all the different operations that you need to run a new sale, right?
Sure.
So, maybe you need to change the products prices. You need to put them at some discount. You need to let's say change the banners at the home page that will lead to this sale landing page. Then you need to send an emailer to your customer base, right? All of it can be planned in advance and can be scheduled for that 31st midnight, and people need not to be there, and KartMax will do it.
Interesting.
Right?
That's a great.
So another use case would be your let's say return, refund, and exchange.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So typically it has been a very manual intensive exercise.
Sure.
Right. Someone needed to do it, but we have automated them. So
Fully automated, basically.
Yeah. So completely hands-free from the business side.
Sure.
Right.
Touchless.
So, touchless. So if a customer says that they want to return the product, the reverse logistics is scheduled automatically.
Sure.
Okay. Once the product is picked up, okay, the system gets a notification and it can issue a refund automatically.
Great. I think that's one area where I think we've been able to match the levels at which the marketplaces operate.
Yes.
And that gives a edge to D2C players that typically lag in this space to provide that experience to its consumers.
One more use case that I would want to highlight is, see, most of our customers these days could be the millennials who used to wake up during late night. I mean, these are college students, let's say. So they bought a t-shirt, they have a query at midnight, they want to connect to your support desk, right? Usually, so far the support desk, someone needs to man that desk. Okay,
Right.
Someone should be standing behind that desk to answer those calls, right? But we identified that 90% of the conversation at the support desk are actually related to some data points about their orders, right? And these can be automated because the system knows they have access to all the data points available within it. So for one of the brands, after automating these support desk queries, actually we deployed a solution which integrated your telephony, your ticketing desk, ticketing support system, and your KartMax platform.
Sure.
So with an integration between these
one
three,
window view.
we automated most of the support desk queries.
Sure.
So it just resulted into like 90% reduction into the tickets, and obviously elevated customer satisfaction, right? And we are also able to reach out to customers on social media and give their the status about their orders right there. So they need not to actually pick up their phone and call us. I mean, we reach out to them very actively.
Sure. Yeah. So one last question for today before we wrap up our first Chai Pe Charcha. I think a lot of businesses and brands ask, that, okay, we've built the site, it's working fine. What should my expense be? What kind of a team do I need ongoing for a lot of changes? And if I have to continuously scale the site, we see a lot of them saying, okay, do we need to go back to a developer? What kind of a team do we need to keep? What kind of team do you need to keep? What is KartMax's position on this?
Right. So actually, there were two questions. The first one was about what could be the ideal spend, right? So we believe that during any given month, if your TCO or total cost of ownership of your e-commerce platform is 2% or below, then that is the ideal figure.
Okay.
So on a running month-on-month basis, it should not actually exceed 2%. Right. Second, talking about what resources do you need to run your site? So Actually, we have worked on a system where you do not need a developer or a designer per se to keep your site running. Because just think, the technology has evolved in these days to the level where, most of the things have gone easier and easier. For example, you do not ask anyone else to, create a document for you in MS Word, right? The same level of tech friendliness is expected from the e-commerce platforms as well, right? So while the platforms are trying to step up to this expectation, KartMax definitely has done that. So
So basically, you do that via themes, or how do you do that? I mean, technically, what has KartMax provided for a business or a brand to be more DIY, so to speak, rather than a DIFM, which is the general India context?
right. So basically, if you can imagine how your website should look like, you can do it yourself without any need of diving into the code.
Okay.
So the way you imagine it, the same way you can create it by using drag and drop editor, right? So if you at a product page, let's say you want to add the product image gallery in some different fashion, you have the designs available, you just drag and drop onto that page, it will be made available there. If you want product reviews, you can. And in order to design it, in order to configure it, you need not to dive deeper into the code.
So you mean to
any
say
non-tech person
that a non-tech person could, someone who's even uploading a catalog, would virtually redesign your detailed product page?
Exactly. So no special tech competency is required to run and maintain the site on KartMax. So whether you are a CEO or a CFO, everyone can just play with it and make your site productive.
That's
you
a
can
super
build
advantage.
it.
That's a super advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
That rounds
thanks.
up our session today.
Yeah. Thanks. Take care.